My name's Mackenzie, and I started a GoFundMe for the adoptive mother of a nonverbal autistic child. The mother had lost her job because she wasn't able to find adequate care for this autistic child. So she really needed some help with living expenses, paying some back bills. So I launched a GoFundMe to help support them during this crisis. And we raised about $10,000 within just a couple of months. I think that the surprising thing was by telling a clear story and just really being very clear about what we needed, we had some really generous donations from people who were really moved by the situation that this family was struggling with.
GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform trusted by over 200 million people. Start your GoFundMe today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. GoFundMe.com. This podcast is supported by GoFundMe.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, we're going to talk about relationships. Now, I know that some of you think that you're ready for a serious relationship. But the truth is, you ain't ready. I mean, you're not. And the ways that you can tell that you're not ready for a serious relationship, there's some questions that I'm going to throw out in this podcast, and you ask yourself these questions. And based on those answers, that'll give you a pretty good idea as to whether or not you're ready for a serious relationship. So sit back, relax. I'll drop the theme music and we'll get the podcast jumping. Let's get it. Welcome back. As I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be talking about the fact that some of you just ain't ready to be in a relationship. And it's cool. I mean, trust me, it's cool. It's easy for me to say because obviously, as many of you know, I'm married. So, the days of being in a relationship are long gone for me. But I will say this. There's a lot of it that I can relate to that I'm going to talk about. So I was doing some reading the other day and I came across this article and it talked about, whether or not people know if, how, when they're ready to be in a relationship. And I guess the first thing that stood out to me was, the idea of being in a relationship. And I think sometimes people tend to get it kind of twisted. Sometimes it could be the fact that maybe, yes, you are dating the wrong people. Or conversely, you could be the problem. And, I think that's a painful dose of reality for some because they never want to admit that they are, partly a part of the problem as far as them trying to find the right one in a relationship. Not to get married, but just to, be in a steady relationship. Nonetheless, the article was pretty interesting. And a couple of things it talked about, I'm going to discuss here on the podcast. The first thing that I want to talk about is one question that you have to ask yourself is, do you often make jokes about the opposite sex? Now, I know that sounds kind of general, but that's actually very relevant when you think about it. I mean, to answer the question, we do. Most of us do. We make jokes about, members of the opposite sex. And, a lot of times it's something negative. I know, guys, we normally say stuff like, women, you can't live with them, can't live without them. And I mean, that's a very common theme. But I think sometimes you have to look a little deeper than just making a joke. Could you, maybe within be withholding some or holding some, some ill will toward members of the opposite sex that you're trying to date? So if you really and truly in your heart believe that men ain't shit, you might have a problem when it comes to dating, because that leads to, your perception. And a lot of times perception is, 100% of reality, and trust, so it could be any number of things. And then sometimes you don't necessarily heal from past wounds. And the article pointed this out very clearly. You have to heal from past wounds before you can move forward. That goes without saying. And, so I think the case of making jokes about the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's if that's what you're into, if that's who you like, it could be somewhat damaging, because you could subconsciously be feeling some kind of way and really not even know it. So, be mindful of that. So that's one thing. Making jokes about members of the opposite sex or the same sex if you're attracted to same sex. The next question. Are you always waiting for the other shoe to drop? Man, I think that speaks to a lot of people. I think I can understand to some degree how people get to that space. Sometimes you're having a good time with someone and you really, really like them. And it's not like you're expecting something to go wrong, but maybe things are just in your mind, quote unquote, too good to be true. I think sometimes people get so fixated with bad things happening to them that when good things come or a good person comes, they're just not used to it. Like, case in point, I remember I had a friend, she's still my friend, but she told me back in the day that, like, before she met her husband, she was just like, she was always leery about, what was next. And so she went through a lot of stuff with a lot of different guys and a lot of different relationships. So eventually when she, met her husband, she was very skeptical because he was a good guy. He did the right things. He said the right things. He made her feel good. I mean, like, all of the things that you would want or that, you feel like you really should deserve, she was getting. And yet she met them with a level of skepticism. And she said it wasn't until, she got further along in the relationship that she realized that the other shoe wasn't going to drop. But I think sometimes, like I said, we get so fixated with the fact that something bad might happen or something bad's going to happen. And, we kind of miss those moments and that time when that person is actually becoming someone or getting to know someone that you actually really like or care about. And you lose belief, or you can lose belief that this person might not stick around because you're, again, just waiting on the shoe to drop. And I get it. I mean, if you've been hurt in the past, that could have an effect. And clearly this was the situation with my friend. I'm happy to report that she is still happily married. But yeah, I think we have to be mindful of that. But that's another sign that you're not ready for a relationship if you're always waiting on the other shoe to drop. The next question. Do you have trouble just doing nothing with another person? Now, in a relationship, you'll have plenty of days where you don't do anything in particular. I mean, like when I say nothing, I don't mean like you're not going to the movies or going to dinner or going to the mall or going, wherever. But I think you have to be able to, spend time, unstructured time and moments with people. And, if you're not okay just sitting in the house, watching TV, or just, sitting at the table having a talk, you might not be ready for a relationship, because I know you get on Instagram or Facebook or the Twitter and you see people, in their relationships. I don't want to say flaunting it because it's not. I mean, I guess they're celebrating it. And, you have your own ideas or preconceived notions about what that is. So if you see me and my wife in Paris, you think, okay, it's so dope to be in a relationship and be going to Paris, but before we got to Paris, I mean, we had to spend, a lot of time sitting around the kitchen table just talking, because in a relationship, that's what that is. It's not, always going out and about. It's about the little moments. And, what I would suggest is, do those things because those things help build intimacy. And you can have intimacy without necessarily being intimate in a physical way. It's more of a connecting way. And those conversations, I think, are very important. But no, it's you have to understand it's not just about being in a relationship and just doing stuff, because yes, you will do things in a relationship, but there are also going to be times where you don't have anything structured where you can just, sit and talk or go for a walk. I think a lot of times, that's the perfect scene or the setting to, get those type of moments in. But again, if you have problems or you don't like the fact that you can just do nothing, then you probably aren't ready for a relationship. The next question. Do you want to keep all of your options open? Man, listen. As a man who was once single, I can definitely identify with this. I think there's a point, and I can only speak for men here. I think there's a point that we all say, what if I commit to this person and someone else better comes along? We've been there. I mean, you ask yourself that question and you think that there's something deeper, but it's really not. It's almost like you go to a restaurant and you order fish and then you're sitting there and like, damn, I should have ordered the steak. I mean, it's you don't have to look that deep into it. Here's the thing. If you want to be in a relationship, then I think by all means you should be in a relationship. Being in a relationship isn't something where you can just kind of stick your toe in the water. It doesn't work like that, right? You either in or you're out. And nobody has time for the games and the foolishness. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you ask someone to be in a relationship and then you figure out, or you get cold feet and you're like, okay, this ain't what I want. And it's only because you think you're missing something else. So yeah, if you want to keep your options open, then don't, by any means, don't get in a relationship. When I read this, I automatically went back to the Phonte verse. My man Phonte from Little Brother. That verse on the what's the name of the song? Take It Slow. The name of the song is Take It Slow on the Little Brother album. And in the verse, he really breaks it down.
Sometimes I think I'm from another world. When I'm trying to tell a woman just exactly where I stand at. I want a girl when I want a girl. And when I don't want a girl, I want a girl who understands that. And that's some hard shit to explain to a woman that's in love with you. It's a pitiful thing. Until I had to figure that I don't want to play around, but I don't want to settle down. And that's a man's dilemma. Cause every man remembers how his daddy and his uncles did it. Cause more than likely, that's the way they gonna do it.
And what he says is, I want a girl when I want a girl. And when I don't want a girl, I want a girl who understands that. And like that line was like, I remember when I first heard it. I mean, that line really spoke to me and my teenage and early 20s years, because like I went through periods where I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want. I want to be in a relationship. I don't necessarily have to be in a relationship, but this is what I want. And I think having a clear understanding as to when and how you want to be in a relationship is the first step. You know, if you want to keep your options open and play the field, and that's cool. I mean, I went through that stage in life too as well. I'm pretty sure that many of you have gone through that stage, or you may be in that stage right now. But to be honest, if you want to keep your options open, don't get into a relationship, because you're only going to end up playing yourself or playing the other person or hurting, yourself. And it's just not worth it. And hurting them. I mean, it's not worth it at all. So again, if you want to keep your options open, you ain't ready for a relationship. And the last question they talked about, if you worry that a serious relationship would mean giving up your independence. Yeah, I agree. I think here's the thing. You can be independent in a relationship, but yes, when you're in any committed relationship, that means that you're less independent than when you were single. I mean, that goes without saying, but I think some people need to hear that for it to really be established. That doesn't mean that you can't make plans to hang out with your friends or, kick it or whatever like that. But now if you're in a relationship, you have someone else to consider. So while it doesn't mean that you can't do it, you just need to make sure that you and the person that you're in a relationship with are on the same page. Because every relationship has its own ground rules, and, you can negotiate and and barter and kind of figure these things out. But, to be honest, if in that scenario, if spending time with your friends is something that's important to you, then I think it's something that you should establish long before you get into a relationship. But again, there's levels of independence even within the relationship. In the relationship, it's about working together collectively, but you're still an individual, but you're working together for the common goal and the commonality of the relationship. But honestly, if giving up your independence is unacceptable to you, then you really need to ask yourself why. Maybe it's because you're selfish. And it's okay to be selfish. Maybe you don't want to answer to anybody. Maybe you just like doing things your way. And that's cool if any of those apply to you. But if so, you're probably not as ready for a relationship as you think you are. So again, if you're worried that a serious relationship would mean giving up your independence, you ain't ready. And what I found over a period of time is the reality about relationships is it's better to know when you're ready or know that you're not ready than to jump in and try to figure it out later. That saves yourself and the other person a whole lot of time and heartbreak. That's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5Gs.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.